Ageism is such a thing in the American culture, and it is quite different from other cultures. And I do not think I face ageism because I look younger than I actually am. And especially based on the hairstyles that I wear, you can tell how old I am, or you cannot tell how old I am based on the hairstyles that I wear. And for me, it is quite fascinating when I teach younger students and I have to tell them how old I am. Or if I meet people and they're much younger than me and then they find out how old I am. You know, a lot of people think that they have said I should not say my age, and I respect that and I try to follow that. Every now and then I just say my age just to get a reaction out of the students, or if it is necessary, right? Sometimes I say it because I live in a culture where respect standards are so different compared to the culture that I was born and raised in, where naturally, if you're a certain age and you are around people that are younger than you, they automatically give you respect. Or if you're in a position of authority, you automatically get respect no matter your age because of the authority that you have in that position. So in American cultures, I find that sometimes I have to state my age just to garner a little bit of respect. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but the point I'm trying to make is that when you are around 15-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds that look at you and they think that you're the exact same age with them or just slightly older than them, they tend to be very relaxed in how they address you, they talk to you and all of that. And not always a problem because the community in which I am living is the norm, to be able to be casual with everybody, whether the person is in authority or not, addressing people by their name and just talking casually to somebody in leadership positions. So with that in mind, I am not necessarily complaining. I'm basically thinking about how I addressed it in class today and saying to my students that, look, this is how old I am. I am old enough to be your mother and even your grandmother, maybe not grandmother, but at least old enough to be your mother. And some of them were shocked and some of them were like, and all of that. And I basically said, I'm not telling you this because I want to just tell you my age. I'm telling you this to make a cultural point. And the cultural point is that when you're in societies, it is important to know how respect flows in that society. What you might consider in your society as respectful might not be what is considered respectful in other societies. So talking back to me, calling me by my first name is not respectful. Like most of my siblings don't call me by my first name, and even then there are people that are older than me that still don't call me by my first name. So to have maybe a 21-year-old just calling me by my first name in a classroom setting, it's not tolerable. It's not tolerable. So you're either going to call me Dr. Okombo, you're going to call me Professor Okombo, because culturally that is what I prefer. And if they call me by my first name, I'm not going to throw a fit. But to me, it's a point of lack of respect and not understanding boundaries and not being able to navigate working with people from different cultures. It doesn't matter that it is the American culture. If I can tell you that I prefer you call me this or call me that, then it will be wise for the student to call me what I have told them to call me. And if I give them permission to call me by my first name, then they can do that. And even for me, the time people have given me permission to call them by their first name, but because I was not culturally raised like that, I still will not call them by their first name if they're older than me, right? Or if we're in a professional environment, and even if they're not older than me, but we're in a professional environment and they're in that position of authority, I still want to make sure that I give them the honor and the respect. So I don't generally call them by their first name. I would do, but I really try not to, because it just doesn't, I don't feel comfortable overall. And some other people, it's just a habit, and now I just call them that way. Even if they give me the permission, it's become a habit with me. And all of it boils down to culture, and not just because of how old they are, but also because of the hierarchy that they project at that time, the power, the authority that they have at that time. It doesn't matter how old they are. And I am a fan of giving respect from the youngest to the oldest. There are times that I will assert my authority, especially if the younger person is being super disrespectful. I might assert my authority, but I am a very big fan of giving respect to all ages. So this is not an age thing only. It is a morality thing. It is a cultural thing, and it is a social it's the way I was socially trained, right? I know there is a sociological term for it that is not coming to me right now, but that is just how it is. And today, yeah, I was able to tell my students my age, and I'm not telling you. You can go look at, you can go find it for yourself. I'm not going to tell you, but I did tell my students, and it was interesting to see their reaction. And people that know, they can still tell from my features how old I am. People that actually know how to tell age, and you can even tell from how hard I've been studying for the last 9 years that have given me a gap. I think the last 2 years I got that little wrinkle right there just from being on the computer so much. My eyes have been hurt by being on the computer so much. So those some of that are the telltale signs, but not generally the telltale signs, but overall the telltale signs of how old somebody is. And for me, I am very honored that God had given me the ability to be the age that I am. I'm not unhappy about my age. I don't want to be any younger than I am. I take care of myself so that I will always be healthy, but the goal is not to pretend that I'm not the age that I am. And for that reason, I wasn't shy about telling my students my age. Ciao!